The train, for its type, is the most powerful vehicle on land. And the engines of Sodor are the power behind the docks, industries and branch lines that make up the world-renowned Northwestern Railway. These are the stories of Sodor. It's only just occurred to me that by concluding my last batch of stories at the tail end of 1955, I had completely overlooked something that had happened in March of that year, something very important, the modernization plan. You may recall the Fat Controller once expressed concerns about BR's long-term financial stability back when he was chairman of the Railway Board. I'm sorry to say his concerns were justified, as by the mid-1950s, British Railways was in trouble. I'll elaborate on the specifics in my next story, likewise of the details of the modernisation plan. What I will say is by far its most radical proposal was to end the production of steam engines in favour of diesels. Needless to say, this was not welcome news, as there were concerns this would lead to massive layoffs. We steamies also weren't too happy knowing our days were numbered, and to the surprise of many, one of the loudest voices opposing this arrangement came from the unlikeliest source. It's a load of rubbish. You steamies built these railways and now you're getting the boot because the politicians need to win some votes? It ain't right. I'm really surprised you're so against it, Diesel. I thought for sure you'd love the idea of a few more engines like you knocking about the place and give up the glory of being the only diesel on Sodor. No chance. Nice to know you think you have your friends there, mate. I do what I can. Oi, Diesel! Yeah? I got a message from the Fat Controller. He wants to see you at Wellsworth tomorrow morning. What for? He said he wants to have a word with you and that he's bringing an old friend of yours. Did he say who? I think he said his name was Walter Paxman. Wally Paxman? Really? Who's that? He was the man who built me. Oh, so we'll finally have someone to blame. I really should have seen that coming. Crikey, Diesel, the way your eyes are darting about, anyone would think you were watching a game of ping pong. Excuse me for being a little excited. About what? The Fat Controller wants to see me, and it so happens he's bringing an old friend of mine. Who? Walter Paxman, the man who built me. Oh, so we'll finally have... Forget it, Edward. Thomas beat you to it. Ah, bother. Well, you can relax now, Diesel. Here comes the Fat Controller, and I'm guessing that's Mr. Paxman with him. A little grey around the edges, but yep, that's definitely him. Good morning, engines. I'd like you to meet Mr. Walter Paxman from the Department of Transport, though I believe some of you don't need introductions. No, sir. Hello, Wally. Hello, Bruce. Wait, what? Bruce? That's my name. But I thought your name was Diesel. I never said that. What? When have I ever said, hi, my name is Diesel? I'm pretty sure you have. You reckon? Oh, probably just a force of habit. A habit learned from where? That can wait, Edward. I believe both you and Percy have work to do. Yes, sir. Sorry, I'll get going straight away. Me too. Something on your mind, Edward? You look a wee bit put out. No, not put out. I just learned something very surprising about Diesel. His real name is Bruce. What? I know. It's incredible. After all these years. No, I mean, you didn't know? Are you saying you did? Of course I did. All of us on the MIDI side knew. You're having me on. Oi, Adam, you seen Bruce today? Not since he left the shed early this morning. All right, thank you. Well, bless my buffers. I feel like such a prat. Don't beat yourself up, Edward. I was here a full year before I found out. Do you know why he doesn't go by Bruce? Yes, I do. But it's not really my place to talk about it. I suggest you ask him later tonight. Good idea, old chap. There must be an interesting reason behind it. Evening, lads. Evening, Diesel. I mean, Bruce. I'm never going to get used to that. You don't have to. You want to keep calling me Diesel? Fine. Really? Yeah, doesn't bother me. How come you don't go by Bruce? Yes, what was this habit you mentioned at Wellsworth? It goes back to before I came to Sodor. Can we hear about it? As long as you don't mind me stealing your thunder, Edward. Of course not, old chap. Okay, here it is. And this was the story he told. The Great Depression truly was a bleak period in world history. The unprecedented collapse of the global economy led to the closure of countless businesses and forced millions of people into unemployment. There wasn't an industry unscathed by the downturn, including the railways. I may be biased in saying this, but I do believe the railways were among the hardest hit. The Big Four were desperate to economise wherever they could, probably none more so than the London, Midland and Scottish Railway. This was expected as it was the largest of the rail companies and the one that suffered the most. It was at this time that Mr. Walter Paxman made himself known. An engineer by trade and an avid rail enthusiast, he approached the Middies with a proposal for a new kind of locomotive, one that promised to be faster, cheaper, and more efficient than even the most effective steamy. A tantalizing prospect to be sure, the Middies were quick to endorse his project and gave him access to one of their workshops on the Halzoen branch line. After 2 years of work, the prototype would be unveiled. Thank you all for coming. I know how anxious you've been these past few months, but I can safely say that your time and money have been well spent. We are about to witness the greatest miracle of the machine age. Based on the revolutionary principles of internal combustion, we have created an engine that requires neither coal nor water. Just a fill of oil, a touch on the starter, and you're off. No bother, no waiting, no fussing around for hours to make it ready. Gentlemen, I give you the diesel! You did splendidly. I did? You sound surprised. I am. They didn't seem all that enthusiastic when they were clapping. Don't give it too much thought. They're used to seeing engines with smoke billowing from funnels and steam hissing from every nook and cranny. They were simply taken aback by how minimalist your arrival was. Maybe we should have livened it up, gotten a brass band or something. Stuff and nonsense. Nothing should detract from your uniqueness. You are revolutionary. Revo what? Revolutionary. It means new, and you're certainly that. I've never seen an engine like you before. Very interesting. Oh, thank you. I'm sorry, who are you? Beg pardon, I'm Montague, better known as Duck. Why? Are people always shooting at you? No, they say I waddle. I don't really, but I prefer Duck to Montague. I see. Good morning then. Pleased to meet... Hang on, you're Great Western? I thought this was a Middy branch line. It is, but our two lines meet here at this junction. It's also here where you'll be put through your paces. Starting tomorrow, you'll undergo trials to gauge your potential. We'll start with some shunting. Beg pardon, sir, but we could start now if you like. How so? I have to assemble a train for my return trip, and I would greatly appreciate some help. Can I, Wally? Please? I'm real eager to work. I suppose. Tops, let's get to it then. I'm right behind ya. You see? Nothing to it. You're not wrong. This was so easy I could do it with my eyes closed. I wouldn't recommend that. No, probably not a good idea. Thanks for showing me how to shunt. Being helpful is the Great Western way. I'd love to stick around and show you more, but I have to get going. I'll just need to top up on coal and water before I leave. Does it get annoying needing 2 different sources of fuel? I've never really thought about it. I suppose it does, but there's not much I can do about it, is there? I envy you only needing one source. You are revolutionary. Good luck with your trials tomorrow. Cheers. See you later. How'd I do, Wally? Better than I expected. But best not to mention what you did for Duck. Why not? I don't think the Middies would appreciate hearing their new prototype was helping the competition. Oh, right. Best belt up there. On the upside, I did learn how to shunt. That's sure to come in handy during my trials, which is one of the reasons why I agreed to it. The other being I wanted to see how you'd perform under working conditions. Looks like we're off to a good start then. Just you wait, Wally. I'll impress the Middies so much they'll be begging you to make more engines like me. We can only hope. How did it go?
Good. Really good.
So those tips of mine came in handy?
In a big way. And I, made sure to tell them that you helped.
Thank you for that. Showing appreciation, that's also the Great Western way.
So, tomorrow they want me to shunt some trucks for the engines working on this branch. Tell me something, Duck. Do you ever get used to working alongside them faceless lot?
Yes, you do. There really isn't a whole lot between them and us, only that we came out of the works a little different.
The lads mentioned a couple of theories about that. This Revenant one sounds real weird.
I don't personally believe that one. Or perhaps it'd be more accurate to say I don't want to believe it. That we might just be the reincarnation of dead humans? Very unsettling.
You're not wrong. Changing the subject, you got any more tips about shunting?
Take care not to bump the trucks, especially the non-faceless ones. You mistreat them and they won't let you forget it. On that note, do be careful. Trucks can be troublesome.
Okay then, thanks for the warning.
You stop there!
Why? Something wrong?
I ain't moving.
But you gotta move. You're needed on that train over there.
I'm good and comfy, so shove off, Weasel.
What are you calling a weasel, mate?
Okay, shove off, Darky.
Uh-oh.
Uh-oh was right. The middies weren't too happy that their new engine, on his second day of working, was throwing rolling stock down embankments and damaging property. Diesel swore he didn't mean to bump the truck as hard as he did, and that may have been true, as it was discovered there had been some oil on the track, quite possibly having leaked from the tanker on Duck's train. This led to a minor row between the LMS and GWR, with the latter wanting the former to pay for the damage. Their skirmish allowed Diesel to escape punishment for the most part, which gave the trucks the impression the higher-ups supported his action. I'm sorry to say the numberless engine took full advantage of this. He was very rough towards them, biffing the occasional one to enforce his iron will, and when Duck returned to Halzoen a week later, he was shocked by what he saw. "This isn't a yard, it's a police state!"
Thank you, Duck.
"That wasn't a compliment, Bruce! Weren't you listening when I warned you about trucks?"
Yes, but you didn't tell me they were racist. Do you know what that git called me?
I do. It was disgusting and vile, and I'll admit maybe he deserved a bump, but it's not fair to punish the rest of them over his actions.
You said trucks can be troublesome, and by showing them who's boss, I've made sure they won't be. And take a look around. The yardmaster said he's never seen the place in such good shape.
For now it is, but fear only works temporarily as a motivator, and it doesn't take much to bring down a tyrant. Just ask the Tsar of Russia.
The who of where?
Never mind. The point is, I strongly advise against using force to control the trucks.
My way's been working, so I'll stick with it, thank you. But if it makes you feel better, I'll be out of the yard today.
Where are you going?
I'll be taking my first train. Then I'm told I might have to act as a banker for one of the other engines.
Really? That's exciting. They must think very highly of you to give you such important jobs.
Your advice has been a great help with that. You got any more for me?
When taking a train, always remember safety comes first. As for banking, you may have to push yourself, but be careful not to exert yourself. It won't do much good if you stall on a hill.
Alright, I'll keep that in mind. Thanks as always, Duck. Wish me luck.
Good luck! Oh, hello, Maggie.
Hello, Duck. What a lovely surprise. I wasn't expecting you.
Likewise. What are you doing here?
I'm serving as a camping coach for some holiday makers. That's all an antique like me is good for these days.
Rubbish. I reckon you could still hold your own on the express. Montgomery said so.
Didn't they retire him last year?
Oh, right. They did. That backfired splendidly.
I know what you were trying to do, my dear. Thank you. And I'm very thankful it is you working the yard today and not that horrid Bruce.
He hasn't bumped you, has he? No, but he's told me off a few times, mostly when I try to tell him how wrong he is for abusing the trucks and your advice. What did you say? He hasn't once given you credit for all the valuable tips you've given him. I know they're yours because of the techniques you showed Oliver. He even had the audacity to pass them off as his own. During his shunting trials, he said to the inspectors,
That's the benefit of diesels. We know everything. We come to a yard and improve it. We are revolutionary.
Why that devious, underhanded sneak? I'll have a few words with that big black weasel when I see him next. What happened?
I blew out me engine.
Are you alright?
Not too good, but I'm in one piece. Looks like I exerted myself.
I guess that means you won't be passing off that bit of advice as your own wisdom.
Eh?
I'm sorry, let me try that another way. I'm surprised you didn't bank this train and improve it. I thought you were revolutionary. If you could give me one reason why I shouldn't tell your directors about your duplicity, I won't.
They won't believe you. Why would they when you spilled oil on the track?
I did no such thing, and you know it.
No, I don't. I really don't. How do I know you weren't trying to sabotage the place?
I don't sabotage. That's not the Great Western way.
Oh, fizzling fuses. Great Western this, Great Western that. I don't know if you've noticed, Ducky, but I ain't Great Western.
Which explains how you were able to lie to me so easily.
It's not my fault you're so gullible.
Why did I ever offer to help a freak like you?
Freak! Freak! We're the future! I've been nothing but a roaring success here. You watch! The Medes will now build entire fleets of me. The LMS will dominate the railways of Britain, and kettles like you will end up in the scrap heap. You'll see.
Unfortunately for the devious Diesel, that wasn't going to happen. While it was true he had been a success, his breakdown revealed the true shortcomings of his class. His repairs took a long time to complete, owing in large part to the relative scarcity of replacement parts. Furthermore, his crew were literally learning how to fix him while they were doing it, clearly showing the expertise needed was not widely available. I think I've said it before, but I'll say it again. Diesel was simply too far ahead of his time. For this reason, the middies didn't go all in on dieselization. However, they would adopt a slightly smaller scale program, which they entrusted to Mr. Paxman. This made him very happy. Unlike his prized prototype, by the time Diesel was back in working order, his hold over Hauzoen had weakened. The trucks started standing up to him. This resistance he attributed to Duck. Just as the Great Western Pannier predicted, it didn't take much to bring down his iron rule. And rather classically, this revolution of sorts culminated in song. Diesel skulks about the yard, thinking he's the greatest. Bumps his soul so very hard, showing he's the meanest. All around he creeps about, spreading his diseasel. Hear us now as we shout out, clear off you weasel. Har, har, har.
It was hell working at Hauzoen after that. I was glad when they transferred me here. Not initially, you weren't. I remember how antagonistic you were towards us. The phrase moving kettles was often heard when you were about. Yeah, I didn't have the best opinion on steamies when I first got here, but it was you lot that turned me around, so thank you for that.
And thank you for sharing your story, old chap. Though I can't help but notice you haven't really answered Eric's question. Why don't you go by Bruce?
After the trucks sang that blooming song, that's all they would call me. And it didn't take long for nearly everyone else to start calling me Diesel too. I tried fighting it, but it was no use. I had to get used to it, and I did. So like I said, I don't care what you call me. Diesel, Bruce, it's all the same. But if any of you call me Weasel, you can expect a hard fall down a steep hill.
Duly noted, laddie. So what'd the Fat Controller and Mr. Paxman want to talk to you about?
Oh, right, I haven't gotten to the best bit. It's to do with this whole dieselization thing. BR is really getting into it, and they've given Wally the job of coming up with a new class of shunter. And get this, they're going to use me as the prototype.
So there really will be entire fleets of you? God help us all. We all had a good chuckle that night in the shed. Over the course of the next few weeks, Diesel was thoroughly examined and his performance history scrutinized to see whether he was the ideal prototype or not. Evidently he was, and from BR's examination came the ubiquitous 08 class shunter, which would have a working life longer than most other engines. A few months after that we had that whole business with the fog, and a few weeks later, 1956 came. This was when the effects of the modernization plan started to take effect, but that, as I've already said, is for my next story.